Hi, my friend. It's Pat Sloan here. It is March. So on March 1st, do you know there are, let me get this right, 843 celebrations listed for March with the place where I look. That's a lot. We can't cover them all, but we're going to cover a few of them. Like today is Pig Day. Yes, pigs, celebrate pigs. And so I thought, well, is there a pig quilt block? I know I've seen one. Lori Holt has one in her, there's lots of others too, but the Farm Girl Vintage 2 book has, there he is, this cute little piggy. And then she also did it in cross stitch. Look how cute he is. Yeah. Okay, so if you have a quilt with pigs on it, share that today. This is also Umbrella Month. I think March, everybody can agree there's a lot of rain sometimes in March. So Umbrella Month is a good thing. Now, I actually did a little quilt for a magazine, McCall's magazine, with an umbrella on it. Let me show you that. In my hallway is my umbrella quilt. I really like this one. I did it for McCall's magazine. It probably was Quick Quilts. It's applique. They're super cute. Really, I did the quilting on it. I loved this. This is so cute. So maybe someday I'll go ahead and make a new pattern for it because the files are long gone from computer moves and everything else. I just have to redo it. Now, I don't know when I'll get to making that into a pattern again because like I said, you know, the files have long gone through conversions and stuff. So I just have to redraft it and remake the whole thing. But it's so cute. I think I should do it one year. Maybe I need to put it like on my project for like November to do for March. Yeah, I'll have my secretary do that. Put that note down. That would be me. It is also Compliment Day, so compliment somebody today about something wonderful. It feels good to do that. And it's Peanut Butter Day. Okay, so that covers so much. Peanut butter, I like peanut butter a lot. All right, we're going to have the block a day for Sweet Childhood Memories. I also have a deep dive for the second half of this video and then a little mail call in between those two. So first of all, our topic is the toy box. So many fun toys, right? As childhood toys. So when you share your block today, share your favorite toy. Let's first look at the block and then I'll tell you about my toys. The toy box is a really fun block. You can take each one of those units out as well. Just that one square is kind of fun to do. And I did the bonus layouts here where you can see like this quilt here is what? 27 by 27 as one block. And then if you put them side by side, just side by side, this is what the image is. Which is so fun to do. All right. Let's take a look at fabrics. I'm pretty sure what I want is the background of each of the triangles to be a different light. So I've got all the lights here. And let me just put the pattern. Okay, so that would mean there's 9 blocks. So I would have to do 5 different backgrounds or do one of them twice because it's not an even number and I do 2 at a time, half square triangles. And so I have all of these, which if I'm going to do a lot of patterns, then I probably would not do the white, you know, the white there. So how many do I have? So if I eliminate, so if you're looking at all these and you want to, you know, you already know which one I'm going to eliminate for sure. But when you're looking at this, the way that I approach it to sort of make this cohesive, like if I just want 5 fabrics and there are what 6, there's 7 fabrics here. So that means I would take away 2. So if I take away the white, then, you know, these all, there'd be 1 here, which is not like the others. Like if I took this one away, or I take that one away. And then I'm going to take this one away. And here are, no, I get to take 1 more away because I only need 5. That's right, so there's 6. So if I do this, so these would be the backgrounds for these half square triangles. And then same thing, I would, if I, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do blue for all of the bigger square and then maybe red or yellow, gray. I could do blue and gray or peach. I mean, there's just all the colors, right? So I've got this stack here. I am just like so heavily leaning on blue for this one, like blue, every time I want to look for blue. But I do know I need to bring gray down. So I'm thinking for this block, maybe I'll do, here's the grays. So if I was going to do 2 of each, I would just need 5 grays. So once again, if we were going to look at this, I could do this whole quilt, I think, in blue and red, but I didn't buy the fabric to do it in blue and red, so that's a problem. Okay, so I have 3 and 3, which would mean rather than mixing them up, you know, so that it's lights and darks, I could do either all lights or all darks. I'm thinking all darks to bring the dark down there, and so that means a couple of these have to be repeated again. And then these half square triangles that I do the sew and flip to get the corner point, I could go ahead and do some of the peach, or I could do some red, peach and red. So let's take a look. So if I'm doing these, then if I want to do peach and red, here's a great peach. I would need, you know, I could either do 5, since I have a lot, or I could do 3, like the gray, and just keep them even with the gray. So if I just did 3, I could do like this. Like I'm really low on the red stripe, so I'm going to save that for some block further lower down in the quilt than this block is positioned. Okay, so I like these. So now which goes together? So I'm going to do, now this has got good peach in it. So peach, I don't want pattern to pattern. That's the same pattern. So these 2 and these 2 go like that. Either that or I could switch these. Okay, switching those. There we go. Just for the scale, these scale are really similar. So I want a more open scale and then put this tighter scale with this open scale fabric. You know, it's got a little more open space. It has more open space. This is dense, a much denser print. And so is that a dense print. Okay, so this is what I'll do, and then I will use, maybe I'll just make a simple on myself and go ahead and do just 3 of the lights. So if I want to do 1, so that's the same pattern, so I don't want that. 1, 2, and then I'll do 3 like this. Okay. Here are the sets. There'll be 2 with this grouping. There'll be 4 with this grouping, and then I will make 4 with this grouping because there's, you know, 2 of each, but I will only use 3. That will give me what I need. Here are all the sets of blocks, and I have 1 extra that I did not do the corner sew and flip. And this way I only have 1 extra. If I was going to have the ultimate layout 3 of each, then I would have to have had 3 extra half square triangles. So this way I only have 1 extra half square triangle, which I'm happy about. So that just means adjusting things maybe a little bit differently. Here we go. And voila, there. So I've got 3 different backgrounds, 3 different grays, and 3 different points on it. And it looks really nice and scrappy. That would be such a cool quilt, just like the whole quilt like this. I like it. I like it. I'm glad I went with the gray. That brings that heavier gray down into this section. Then I need it down further in the lower section again so that it's sort of spread around through the quilt. So I'm going to sew this up. This came out so cute. Great. Any colors you're going to do this in will look fantastic. But look how the background's all scrappy like this, kind of like the Harrisonburg a lot of people are doing with all the different scrappies in the background. And so this goes over around here somewhere. So I like that. I like that. That's where it goes. We also have block a day starts today. So in March, and I started this when COVID started in March 2020, on March 1st of 2020, I thought we need to do something. So let's all do a block a day, the same block over and over again. So here it is. Remember I showed you this first one. You'll need to make a couple extra in the month in order to do the layout that I gave you. There's a pattern for the block, whoops, and the layout. And so of course you can make a lot more if you want a bigger quilt, but I'm doing mine all with pink and this teal from my porch swing. So fun to pick all the fun fabrics. Tomorrow or the next day, one of these days, the next few days, I'll get my pink fabrics out and we'll go kind of looking through them. I have a few mail calls. This is from Pat in Colorado. Look at the beautiful card. And she sent me spring. She sent along spring. I'm going to walk over and get a Starbucks on you, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. And I have from Judy in Texas, sent this spring. Everybody's sending me spring in the mail. It is awesome. And then she found gummies, Lifesaver gummies. I may have had some of these with frosting on, like sugar coated. But look, Twizzlers. I love Twizzlers. And then some gorgeous caramels. Thank you, thank you. These are so yummy. Whoops, I just dropped a card. Okay, this one is from Nadine in Maine. More spring. Look at this. Irises. But I opened this up and I saw the map fabric. And we love novelty prints, Nadine and I. But then inside, I was squealing, Nadine, squealing. Like a little pig. Look, a hedgehog. Look how cute she is. And she's red. Oh my goodness. With the little glasses. She's so cute, so cute. Thank you for sending her for the project. And then I had to squeal some more because Tracy in Ohio, look at that, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? But she sent me, just so cute. The panda. Look at the panda. Look at the little big belly on that panda. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. I love pandas. I love them. Just, thank you everybody for contributing to my waistline and my animal farm that's starting to come together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to put together. Okay, we're going to deep dive here in a thought that I had when I was making the Bountiful blocks. And I thought, I've got all this stuff here that I can exactly show you what I'm talking about. So let's take a look. Let's talk leaders, enders, or start, stop while you're quilting. So the other day, I had just a really short answer to somebody's question. And honestly, I didn't do it justice. I gave the kind of initial answer, but not the answer of why I actually use them now. And we had a couple of long discussions, which were really just the same thing being said over and over again by about 300 people in the community. So I thought, okay, I'm working on the Make-A-Wish blocks. I'm working on the Make-A-Wish blocks, and I realized because I have all this out and what I'm doing here, I can perfectly show you why I use a leader and an ender, or a stop and a start square for when I'm working. So the reason why people use sort of a piece of fabric to just get their patchwork started, which would be called the leader or the ender, if it's when you're finished with a string of chain piecing, people would sometimes use just a square like this, and they will sew over it just a few threads. The reason why they do this is because their machine has a problem. Their machine has a problem, and when it starts sewing, chain piecing, it snarls up, it might have some loose threads, whatever the issue is. They know their machine, they know that it has an issue, and this solves that issue of when you start your chain of patchwork, sewing those seams. Some of you probably have never experienced that or don't have any of that kind of issue. And that's because your machines might be newer, your machines might be a better quality, your machines might be serviced regularly so that it just never runs into that. Cleaned regularly, that can happen. Those dust bunnies get in there. So this is one reason why you might see it. And often you're going to see it like this, just a little scrap sewn up. I tell you, I have used that way back in the very beginning when I had very inexpensive machines. I don't need that now. My machine can perfectly sew. I don't need to do that. What I like to do is create another quilt while I'm making the main quilt. So while I am doing this, whenever I get to a point where I need to pull all this out and press it, rather than cut the thread, I will sew 2 pieces of fabric together that will be for another quilt. So, you know we're doing the Jolly Bar, right? So I got some of those for the bonus border. Oh, well, that, looking on camera, that one is turned the wrong way. There we go. So I got these here so that I can sew them when I need to remove something for the charity block. I need to take it to the ironing board and press it. Rather than pulling the threads out and trimming the threads, I will just sew 2 units together for another project. That becomes this sort of start, stop, and it just flows. Like I rarely ever have to cut the thread because I've always got something. If it's not these squares, you know, here, like sewing like this, there's 2 of them. If it's not these, I have the aqua and cream colored squares, which are making, remember somebody told me this was all a waste of time? Well, I made all of these. So there I have all of those that I've been making while I'm doing other projects. These just appear as I go along because I'm sewing just 2 squares so that I can pull out the other thing and trim it. Let me just show you down here because I have the star block under my machine right here. So if you're not using a start and stop, like I can do other parts of this block, like I did this. I had to sew the diagonal line, right? On the front, I had to sew these diagonal lines. I did that while I was working on this star to press it. But I'm at the point now where I don't want to, I could shift over to the dark, to the other block, or I could just use one of these units or these to sew so I can take the star out and press it. So you can see the star here now. So the star is here, and if you are not using this technique of sewing other things like this, then what you would have to do, right, is lift your needle, lift your presser foot, you would pull this out and, you know, cut it. So now you would have, you know, you would have some threads here, and then you would have a longer tail down here. Well, instead, what I did was just take 2 squares and sew them. And then that way I don't have that tail in between. I would have sewed the seam on here. So like, I'll do this. I'll do the one over here, okay? So I'm doing, for sew and flip, so I'm sewing across, and then now, rather than lifting the presser foot, I could take these 2 Jolly Bar border pieces, put them together, and sew under here. So I'm not actually ever pulling thread out. Sew under there, and then I come back and I just trim the little piece in between. Trim the little piece in between. And I don't have this tail at all, those thread tails, which actually saves thread. That's when you have tons and tons of these, there's no reason to. You can be sewing something else, even if it's as simple as creating blocks like this. That's all it is. If you get to the point where you eventually don't have anything because you have nothing prepped to sew through there, then take either, if your machine is cranky, then you can use your little 1 scrap. If you don't have a cranky machine, then you don't need to do anything. So the idea for me, and I think for a lot of people, is to create another, is to sew, basically you're sewing 2 projects at the same time. So if you have something prepped, and these squares are the easiest thing ever to prep, but if you actually have 2 other things, like I'm doing the border ones now, I can get those moved along while I'm working on the Make-A-Wish quilt, which is the basic, those are the basic blocks I was doing for that video. And I was able to get several of these made while I was sewing those. And so I got that much further ahead on that project. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. It was not just because your threads get tangled. That is probably the the less reason why people do it anymore, because many of you have good machines, you have tuned up machines, you have machines that are not cranky when they start their patchwork. And if your machine is cranky when you start your patchwork, just get a new machine. Go ahead, do it. I'll wait. You done? Okay. Mwah. All right, so I hope that helped. Let me know in the comments. I would appreciate hearing your thoughts. And if you do make other quilts while you're making your main one, make 2 at the same time. I hope that helped a few of you to look maybe at your sewing a little differently. Maybe you'll do a leader and ender so that you create other blocks while you're working. It is very satisfying. Also, you're not having to cut threads in between, which is really, really nice. So hopefully that little deep dive was useful. Okay, you're going to start your block a day, the same block. It's easy peasy. Get out some fun fabrics and make a quilt this month in March, and you will make your toy box. My favorite toys, what I remember, is a bunch of different things. There isn't just sort of one item. I liked my Barbies a lot, the little bake kitchen that I had, and I just tended to kind of find things and be with them for a while and then find new toys. So there isn't any toy. There's a stuffed animal, but different than like a game. Like game, I loved Candyland. Anything like fun. That's why I like Animal Crossing. It's kind of like Candyland. Fun things all the time. Okay, so here is your toy box. And when you share your block, tell me about your favorite toys as a kid, or your grandkids' favorite toys, or your children's favorite toys, your nieces, nephews' favorite toys, however you want to do it. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.